listening to Jai Long, and this is Make Your Break. Whether you're a big-hearted creative or an aspiring entrepreneur, let's take action on your dreams, reconnecting you with your why and giving you the how. I'm here to dish out actionable mindset tips and fun industry secrets to help you blow up your biz. From eye-opening reality checks to motivational gold, no two episodes are ever the same. So tune in weekly, skip the FOMO, and let's dive into the deep together. Hey, today I want to talk about why it's so important to be feeding yourself the right material for your input so you can create the correct output. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of the times we find ourselves watching Netflix, we find ourselves watching the news, we find ourselves in the wrong Facebook groups or following the wrong people, and then we can compare ourselves or we can get scared or we get influenced, right? And it's just the same as anything else. The more that you feed yourself the correct thing, the correct diet, creatively, the more you're going to have a stronger output. Now, before we get into today's episode, I want to quickly let you know that the Wedding Photography Summit's coming up in November. So 22nd, 23rd of November is the next Wedding Photography Summit. If you want to check that out, and the lineup is going to be coming out soon, but to find out who the lineup is before everybody else, you've got to join that wait list. So you can head over to weddingphotographysummit.com. Head over to the Wedding Photography Summit there, and we have some extra special stuff that's going to be announced this time that we've never done before. And I think you'll want to get on that wait list because there will be things that will sell out. So just a pre-warning there, head over to weddingphotographysummits.com. So today's episode, I really want to dive in, and I don't know about you, but I've been following a lot of people on Instagram. I've been following a lot of people, even in Facebook groups and things like that. And I can see a lot of fear right now. I can see a lot of uncertainty. And I think a lot of it comes down to just following blindly, watching the news. And I want to talk about the news. I know there's going to be so many people that hate me saying this, like, Jai, we can't just, hide underneath a rock. Like, why wouldn't I watch the news? But I want to ask you, when's the last time that the news brought you some sort of happiness or some sort of joy or helped you in a positive way? So when did that actually ever happen? And if it was never, then I believe that you shouldn't do it, right? Because I know for myself, for my mental health, for my capacity right now, is I don't have enough resources, enough energy to combat all the negative stuff that's happening in the world, and also to keep myself on the right track to grow my business and to control my own surroundings. Now, I think the most important thing is you need to protect yourself. There are so many places that by accident, we lose control of our own surroundings by, for one, watching the news when you hear the economy is bad, right? I hear this all the time, like, Jai, you shouldn't be investing right now. You shouldn't be starting a business right now. You should be more scared right now, like whatever it is, because you understand that things are out of your control. And so maybe even put that fear into other people, even though maybe it's not the truth for you. But here's the truth for me. I've realized throughout my life that even when things are out of control and when the economy is bad or there's a recession or something, I think it's a blanket statement to say the economy is bad, because honestly, my economy is totally fine. So I think when you realize that maybe everything in the world that's happening right now isn't relevant to you, then you can play a different game. So yeah, you can be scared right now. There's a lot of scary things, a lot of uncertainty, things like that. But if you start working on yourself, your own economy, on your own business, on your own mental health, on your own creativity, on your own motivation, on those things, then you can start playing a different game because you're showing up for yourself, right? Not showing up because the politicians told you to, the prime minister, the president. You're not showing up because there's people on Facebook groups that are telling you stuff. Not showing up because there's people on Instagram telling you to be more scared than you should be, or whatever it is, whatever that influence that's not bringing you the happiness. Now, it's not just about like being scared from the media. It's also other things like the comparison game. So I unfollow a lot of people that do share a lot of political things online that I don't agree with because I just don't want to see the news. This is a cool little story. Like, I found myself about a week ago, I was starting to lose momentum, lose motivation, and lose my own creativity. I was starting to get a little bit scared in my business. And I realized that it was affecting other people because I was showing up a little bit different in my business or on social media. And I was starting to sort of regurgitate a lot of the news that I was hearing. And I was thinking to myself, like, I haven't watched the news for years. Like, how is this happening? And the little coffee shop I just started going to, they actually have newspapers spread out. So when you're waiting for your coffee in the morning, you can actually sit there and read the headline news. And of course, a good headline always gets me sucked in. So I start reading it and I flick to page 2 and I start reading, what people actually read. And then it's without me even realizing, my output starts reflecting that negative energy that I'm pulling in from those news headlines and whatever it is from wherever it is around the world. Now, when I realized this, I realized like this is how most people live their lives. Like they read those headlines and they watch those clickbait things that come up real quick, and induces a little bit of fear into you. And then when we get on social media or when we're showing up for our business or for our community or for our family, we show up differently because we're affected and influenced by something that's out of our control. Now, a lot of us, we like to find the news because we like to blame someone. If something's going wrong and something's out of our control, we always love to blame somebody. And if the news right now triggers you a little bit, like maybe you're trying to find someone to blame, and you see this all the time, it's like, maybe my business is failing because it's the government, because I'm in a lockdown. Maybe it's my prime minister. Maybe it's the president. Maybe it's like whoever it is, right? I think it's really, really hard to try and keep on track when we are trying to blame someone that we didn't trust in the first place. Like we all know that politicians lie to us and we all know that it's not always the truth there and whatever it is. But all of a sudden we believe what they're saying, or we hate what they're saying and we blame them for their leadership. When really we need to blame ourselves, because it's our leadership, it's ourselves that made the decision to stand up and like watch that news channel or follow that certain person or to regurgitate some news that we heard or create a conspiracy theory or however else it is that we try and navigate ourselves through uncertain times to try and like cope with this kind of stuff. Now, in your business and right now, like if you take responsibility of everything, if you take responsibility not of the economy of the world and not of everything that's happening in the world, but take responsibility of like your own world, your own economy, your own business, your own community, your own friends, right? All those things. And practical tips right here is like you could turn off the TV because that's not bringing you any happiness. You can start unfollowing the people that you compare yourself with. You can start unfollowing the people on Instagram that are sharing things that doesn't resonate with you, or maybe you can mute them. You can extract yourself out of those Facebook groups maybe, because in those Facebook groups, it can be really hard to try and keep positive when not everybody's on there sharing that same information. You never know where someone's coming from. And so things that I like to do is I like to control my surroundings. And what I like to do is I'll listen to podcasts that bring me some sort of happiness or guidance or help me stay on track with my goals throughout these uncertain times. Or I listen to an audiobook. Or if I am watching Netflix or a documentary or something, I'm watching something that's in line with helping me stay on track, staying focused or staying entertained or whatever it is. And I steer away from the news and from those media outlets that don't best support what I'm doing. Now, this works in so many different levels, but as creative entrepreneurs, because we are creative entrepreneurs, if you're right now trying to be creative, but you're bombarded with all this negative energy, it's hard for you to stay creative, right? It's hard for you to show up and write the next song. It's hard for you to show up and do the next shoot. It's hard for you to come up with a new idea or an innovative idea on your business. And the more creative and the more innovative you are in business, the more that you're going to succeed in business. And it's so important. So to protect your time and your mental energy, that space, you need to make sure you're feeding it the right things so you can have that correct output. So going into a big full loop here, and I want to really drive this home, it's going to be really hard for you to show up as the best version of yourself if you're not absolutely controlling those surroundings, the friends that you spend the most time with, the groups that you're in, wherever that you're putting most of your attention. Now, I know this might sound a little bit harsh to cut Facebook groups out of your life, or the newspapers, the Instagram people that you follow and all those type of things, but I think about it like with myself, I don't have that much energy or that much time throughout my day. So I got to think each bit of time that I have in my day is like a big investment. So if I'm investing my time into scrolling Facebook on the feed, I know I've lost track, I've lost time, I've lost control, right? So I need to gain back that control. And to gain back control, sometimes you need to give yourself restrictions so you can make better choices. Now, you know this, if you want to eat healthier food, then don't bring home the junk food, okay? So if I want to start digesting better things on Facebook, maybe I need to put on feed killer. So then that way, that little bot can stop the feed and I will stop scrolling Facebook. Maybe I need to delete the app off my phone. Maybe on Instagram, I need to put the app on the back page of my phone. So it's a little bit harder and I have to think about it when I get to it. So then that way, those habits can start changing because it's a little bit harder for you and you've actually disrupted your thought patterns and your actual habits as well. So there's some practical things that you can do right now. But again, I just want to say and I want to give you permission, right? Because I think the first time that I heard one of my mentors say that you could turn off the news and you didn't have to listen to it and you can actually concentrate on the things that make you the happiest and that make me creative and all those things, it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me because I thought mainstream news, everyone has to watch the news. Otherwise I'm in the dark and I'm ill-informed and all these things. But I got to tell you, and that was about 7 years ago when I stopped watching everything and stopped allowing any kind of junk coming into my world, it changed the game for me. So again, your creative output is always going to be determined by your input. So right now, if you're not going out there to write the next album, if you're not going out there to create the next design, to create the next image, to do the next shoot, whatever it is it because you've been feeding yourself the wrong stuff? And do you need to change it right now? Because if you do change it and you can start taking action on those things, will you have a different output? And how would it look to you if you're feeding yourself something that's really inspiring and that helps you stay motivated? So that's it for this episode. I just wanted to keep it really short, but I wanted to spread this message because I know it's so important right now. So many of you guys and people in my community that are struggling right now with comparing themselves online, with feeling like they're hard done by the government and by so many outside influences. And I just want to say, take control of your own surroundings. You are in control. You need to control your own economy, your own money, your own opportunities. You know this. You need to take action on those things and you need to play that bigger game. So you've been listening to Jai Long and I'm going to see you next week.